What a year it was to be a Sonic fan. Yeah, that's right, those words just came out my mouth right now. The content never stopped. We had ish throughout the whole year and all of it was amazing. So let's start with the first major project that came out in 2022, which was the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie. This movie was nearly perfect. It strayed away from the more human side of the movie universe and fully embraced Sonic's video game roots, implementing the Master and Chaos Emeralds, elements from Ice Cap Zone and Labyrinth Zone, the Death Egg Robot, the Tornado, some Sonic Heroes combat, the Guardian Units of Nations, Tails and Knuckles, and Super Sonic. The action was dope. The comedy hit, and it had a bunch of heart. Sonic and Tails' childlike friendship was endearing. Plus, Idris Elba's Knuckles fish out of water gimmick stole the show. Also, before the movie came out, I was telling anyone who would listen that the perfect end credit scene would be Shadow and his art capsule. And that ish actually happened, oh my gosh! Plus, this time around, we got a bunch of movie merch. And to go on a brief tangent, I also gotta say that Jakks Pacific has been doing an amazing job this year on the toy line. We got so many playsets, and I love how some Sonic's lesser known characters that barely get figures made of them actually came into existence. I love them so much. Okay, let's jump back into the movie. Sonic 2 received great box office success, earning over $400 million worldwide, almost a whole 100 million more than the first movie. Wow. Sonic fans loved it, and it has helped create new Sonic fans as well. But that wasn't the only thing we got from the movie franchise. We got the announcement of Sonic 3 and a Knuckles show. Also, there was the release of an animated short. The short was a fun watch that got to show off more of the dynamic between the Sonic heroes, but that's enough talk about the movie universe. Let's drop dash into Sonic's next major project that was released on Sonic's 31st birthday. That being Sonic Origins. Sonic Origins is a classic mega collection jammed with Sonic's ultimate 2D outings. You see what I did there? Yeah? The compilation title includes Sonic 1, Sonic CD, Sonic 2, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. What makes these ports of these games all a bit more special is that they were all developed using Christian Whitehead's retro engine, which has been able to capture Sonic's classic physics as close to 1-to-1 as possible. Furthermore, the collection added some great new additions such as a challenge mode for each game, mirror mode, online leaderboards, full screen support for Sonic 3 and Knuckles, the use of the drop dash in each title, and animated cutscenes done by Tyson Hess and his team for the start and end of each game that helps connect Sonic's classic journey. However, one somewhat new addition that was not so well received was the replacement of some of Sonic 3 and Knuckles songs, most likely due to legal reasons with Michael Jackson's estate. All acts of Ice Cap Zone, Carnival Night Zone, and Launch Base Zone were replaced with some absolute trash. To be fair, Sonic Team did choose the PC versions of those soundtracks, but for some reason they came out worse than the ones originally made. Also, Super Sonic's theme in Sonic 3 and Knuckles was replaced with another song, but that one was at least a bit more pleasant to listen to. To continue on the subject of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, the game's music and sound effects are muffled and compressed, which is all a bummer due to the game's soundtrack being so good. Sadly, that wasn't the only technical issue. The game was released as a buggy mess. Personally, I didn't run into too many issues besides Tails jumping constantly in Sonic 2. Luckily, many of these problems were addressed, including Tails' series of infinite jumping in an update about a month and a half later. Furthermore, it was later revealed by Stealth, founder and leader of Headcandy, that Sega put him and his team under a time crunch, which led to many of the game's problems. However, even with all the negatives the compilation title has, it could be arguably Sonic's best 2D collection. The game's presentation is magnificent, with each game being represented by the island and zones that make up the game in the game selection menu. The museum provides some awesome classic Sonic soundtracks, as well as old promotional material and concept art for each game. Finally, having all four of these games in one collection on modern consoles and PC, developed using the retro engine, I mean, just having a re-release of arguably Sonic's best game ever, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, since 2009 is enough to cause for a celebration. Could there have been more classic Sonic titles or other Genesis titles? Sure, but what we got is great, and I will continue to play this compilation title for years to come. After celebrating Sonic's legendary past with Sonic Origins, us Sonic fans were able to arguably play Sonic's future within Sonic Frontiers. But before we get into the game, let's briefly talk about its strange marketing campaign. Our first look at Frontiers gameplay was revealed on IGN, and holy smokes was everybody and their badnick destroying this game. Many were pointing out how lifeless the game felt, how slow Sonic ran, the game's technical issues, and its lack of things to do within Sonic's newly showcased open world. Most of these issues were due to the gameplay being shown, being an early build of Frontiers, and a lack of communication of mechanics that were not demonstrated, such as the ability to level up Sonic's speed. As more and more of the game was shown closer to release, this took a major turnaround, and the Sonic hype train was starting up. It was apparent that this game was actually going to be pretty great, and to be honest, this game delivered. It for sure passed my expectations on many levels. For one, as someone who as a kid roamed around Station Square and the Mystic Ruins forever in a Sonic adventure, I've always wanted an open world Sonic game, and the open world shines, at least for the most part. I'm looking at you, Chaos Island, being able to implement so many Sonic platform staples and basically providing bite-sized Sonic levels in an open world environment gives a player so much more freedom to platform and creative ways. Plus, it keeps Sonic moving without feeling too overbearing for the most part. It just makes controlling Sonic fun. Just running around without the pressure of a time limit or an end goal to reach is insanely relaxing and enjoyable. I never had any issue collecting a certain amount of memory tokens to progress the story, since I was exploring so much of the map already and would just have a blast doing so. The cyberspace levels I had an issue with at first, since Sonic's physics felt so off compared to how he felt in the open zone environment, and especially compared to previous Boost titles such as Generations and Unleashed. But over time, I got used to his movement in cyberspace and had fun setting new personal best times, especially for certain acts. I also enjoyed how many acts took advantage of the new way Sonic air dashes, in which he gains a bit more height when he performs the move, allowing the player to reach higher parts of the stage. However, the quality of each act varies tremendously, with some being absolute bangers to play and others being complete doo-doo. Overall, I think the cyberspace levels aren't really comparable to how great some acts are in Generations and Unleash, but it made for a nice little appetizer for the main course, which was the open zones. The combat system was fun too, with Sonic finally performing moves I have always imagined in my mind or would act out as a kid playing with the old Jazzware line of Sonic figures. The story was a bit of a letdown, but where that failed to reach expectations, the dialogue between Sonic and his friends made me cry tears of joy. Ian Flynn, who has worked on a lot of Sonic comics, took over the writing for this game, and he treats each character with respect. He recognized the way Tails has been written in many years and does a great job at explaining Tails' highs and lows in a reasonable manner that makes sense canonically, while giving him a way to move forward. He wrote Amy as an actual character, a character that has a dream she wants to attain more than following Sonic around. All in all, at least for me, Sonic Frontiers has been the best 3D Sonic game in over a decade since Sonic Generations. The game has done pretty well critically, with it averaging scores from the 7 to 8 range out of 10. The game also managed to sell a staggering 2.5 million copies worldwide in a little over a month, making it the best-selling Sonic game in over a decade too, which is great news for us Sonic fans, and definitely Sega, since they are planning to continue to support Sonic Frontiers throughout 2023. If this were all the major Sonic projects to release within the year, it could still be arguably Sonic's best year ever, but the final victory lap for the amazing run Sonic has been on comes in the form of Sonic Prime, a new cartoon series exclusively on Netflix that has released in the beginning of December. And oh snackazoinks, can I just say how visually stunning this show looks? The animation is so fluid and allows action scenes to be much more dynamic. I also love how expressive each character is in this show. Not only that, but the character designs for each alternate universe character are always exciting to discover when Sonic lands in another Shatterverse, as it's called within the show. Even though Prime does its own things with the Sonic universe, there is an obvious passion and respect for Sonic's video game outings. This is shown all throughout the show by the way rings are implemented within the show, with Sonic collecting rings to get a boost in power and having them fall out whenever he gets hit, Furthermore, there are so many Easter eggs to character moves such as Sonic's Spin Dash, references to Sonic's gaming soundtrack, Tails' real-life birth year, and many stage elements from previous Sonic games. In addition to all that, I love this take on Sonic. Devin Mack does a phenomenal job voice acting Sonic, displaying Sonic's traditional confidence, but can still step back and portray those moments where Sonic self-reflects on himself. And I love that he isn't the perfect hero, but does his best at trying to solve other universe conflicts, even though he doesn't have to. Sonic Prime has seen great success so far on Netflix, with it ranking in Netflix's top 10 most viewed shows after its first week. Overall, Sonic Prime is shaping up to be a top-tier Sonic show and has a very strong possibility being the best. So, was this Sonic's best year ever? Yeah. And it's not even close. How can all these different takes on Sonic and all these major projects be so fire? 2023 is gearing up to be a pretty good year too. We should expect to see a Sonic 3 movie teaser, more Sonic Prime episodes, and we'll be receiving Sonic Frontiers DLC throughout the year with other playable characters. Oh, exciting-ish, and hopefully we'll have a few surprises along the way. And to prove just how good Sonic's been this year, IGN has basically made an apology video saying that Sonic was always good. like we always known, right? Yeah. If you're still watching the video, thank you. And thanks for all the support throughout this whole year. I actually can't believe it. But anyway, thanks again, and sayonara, home skillets.